Much since I first started playing with raw foods. He's one of the first people I met in 1999, I think.
Right.
Yeah, and at that time he was one of the doctors at the True North Center here, the fasting center here in Sonoma County, and chiropractic. He was a chiropractor. His wife Karin Dina is a naturopathic doctor, and together they opened, pardon me?
Close.
Well, they'll correct me. Together they had the Living Health Chiropractic and Wellness Center in Marin, which they recently closed so that they can go on to other things, which I'm sure is going to be a big part of what they're talking about tonight. You can find more information about them at rawfooddoctors.com, and tonight their talk is going to be Raw Foods, a Scientific Perspective, which I'm really excited about. So here you go, and thank you.
Well, thanks very much. We're both going to talk about some different things tonight. I'm going to start out, and my wife's, yeah, see, I don't want to feed back here. Is that, well, maybe they could, when they turn the machine off, that's about as loud as I can talk. So we'll see how we do. But once they turn the machine off, I think it's going to be a lot easier. There it goes. Ah, very good. Well, thank you for that very nice introduction, Shea. And let's see, I don't even know where to start. So we both teach raw food nutrition, and God, I'm a little disoriented. First of all, let me start out with this way. As Shea said, it's a rainy, crummy night, but we have a full house of people here, and we really appreciate all of you coming here this evening, because we've been teaching raw food or interested in raw food, each of us for about 20 years now. And even though we've seen this movement grow dramatically over that time, it's still not like all of your neighbors are raw food vegans or interested in this type of thing. So it's always really our pleasure to come out and share this information that we're so enthused about, that's such a central part of our life, with other people like you. So thank you all so much for being here. Shea mentioned I'm a doctor of chiropractic, and so is my wife, but she did go to naturopath medical school, but we're pretty close. And we actually closed our chiropractic office of 5 years back in September of 2008 in order to teach raw food nutrition full time. There's just more and more opportunities as this movement continues to grow, and people are looking for accurate information to help them be healthy. Where we do a lot of our teaching is at the Living Light Culinary Arts Institute in Fort Bragg, California, which is a little bit north of here, which is known as the premier raw food chef training school in the country and essentially in the world. So we have a series of classes there we teach called the Science of Raw Food Nutrition. And what we're going to do this evening is just take a couple of tidbits from some of those courses to share some good information with you. So I think that, I'm going to look at my cheat sheet here, I think that covers the basic introduction here. So Dr. Karin is going to introduce herself, and she's going to share with you a nutrient analysis comparison of a typical American diet with a typical raw food diet. And we think you will find it very informative and very interesting. And then I'm going to come back after that and share some additional information with you about protein and about the effects of heating on food. So with that, let me introduce Dr. Karin Dina, and I am going to pass out some handouts here. That actually we have more of a crowd than we expected. So I've got about 20 of these, and I know there's a lot more than 20 of you. So if you're with a friend or if you're part of a couple, if maybe you could share, that would really help us out, and we can distribute this all around.
Okay, so while Dr. Rick is passing that out, I want to give you a little bit of an indication, a little bit of an idea of my own background. I became interested in raw foods about 20 years ago, and my journey is kind of interesting. I had a little bit of a health challenge, and I was looking around for things that could potentially work for me. I visited several medical practitioners, medical doctors, and they didn't really have anything that they could give to me for the fatigue that I was experiencing. So I was pretty much left to my own to try and figure out what was going on and to see what I could do to remedy this fatigue that I was having. So what I did was I started researching as much as I could on diet and health. I really looked to people who were interested in creating health. That was really what I was interested in. How do we create health? So I read a lot of health books and I found out a lot of really interesting information. But there was always one question in the back of my mind. How accurate is this information? I'd read all these great books that would talk about, achieving health and nutritional excellence through certain types of dietary programs, and I thought, this all makes a lot of sense, but what is there behind this that actually backs it up? So that was the beginning of my own journey with science. Now, I'm a huge fan of science, specifically peer-reviewed science. And what peer-reviewed science is essentially mainstream science. Can everybody in the back there hear me okay? Okay. Turn it up a little bit. Actually, I think I can talk a little bit louder. At least I'll try to. Is that a little bit better now? Okay, I want to make sure everybody hears me, because this is really good information that we're going to talk about tonight, and I don't want anybody to miss out on any of it. So, getting back to my own journey, at the time that I started getting into health, I was studying art in college. And then I graduated soon after that, but when I started getting interested in health, I went back to college and got a degree in biology, because I was so interested in learning about science and nutrition, so I took it to that level. Then after that, I studied naturopathic medicine at Bastyr University for about 2.5 years, and then I transferred to chiropractic college here in California to round my education out. So I am a doctor of chiropractic, and I love nutrition. And I study it. It's one of my favorite things to do. It's what I do full time. And I love science. So I think that there's a lot we can learn from science. But one thing I want to mention to you about science is that there's a lot we know, but there's a lot more we have left to learn. And there's a lot more that we're going to learn as time goes on. So science by nature is incomplete. And it's always going to be incomplete. But at the same time, there's a lot we can learn from it, especially when it comes to things like diet and nutrition. So let's talk about these two menus that I have for you. This is actually an excerpt from one of our classes that we teach called the Introduction to Raw Food Nutrition. So what you have in front of you is two menus. One of them is a raw menu. It's a raw vegan menu. And on the other side, we have a standard Western diet menu. And what I did was, I did a nutrient analysis of both. Is that a little bit better? Okay. I did a nutrient analysis of both, because I was very interested to see how these different diets measure up. Now, as far as diets go, especially within the raw community, or just with people in general, there's a big variation in the amount, different types of foods and different types of nutrients that people take in on a daily basis. So it's really hard to make a generalization about what diet is optimal for everybody. I take that to task when somebody says something like, this is the only way you can do this. So when it comes to raw food or any type of diet, the most important thing is what works best for you. That is definitely the key when it comes to diet and nutrition. So without further ado, let's look at these two menus. They're not specifically a recommendation, they're just examples of different types of diets that people consume and how they measure up as far as nutrition composition goes. Now the first one, like I said, is a raw vegan menu. And this particular menu was consumed by Dr. Rick over here on one particular day. Okay, so for breakfast he had a melon, cantaloupe. Then for lunch he had a green smoothie with some orange juice, some bananas, some mangoes, and some kale. So essentially a green smoothie. It really tastes good if you ever want to try it. Then for dinner he had a salad with some romaine lettuce, some red tomatoes, cauliflower, and some zucchini. And on top of that he put a dressing that had some almonds, sesame seeds, lemon juice, along with some flax seeds. And for a snack he had some almonds. Now, as far as the nutrient analysis goes, he had, on that one particular day, almost 2,000 calories. Okay? And as far as adult requirements go for that, it really depends on how old you are, your size, your gender. There's a lot of things that go into that.